Michael and Martin van Staden fighting on the main card at EFC72. I think Luke Michael's had a really good camp, and I think we've seen him evolve in the last 2 or 3 fights, especially since he's joined our camp. He's really starting to find his style and feel comfortable with who he is and what he's doing in the cage. Every performance he puts on, he starts getting better. So I think he's had another good camp. He's been fit and healthy and injury free, so that's a real bonus for him. He's fighting an ex-teammate, we could call it, so there's a bit of history going in there, and I think Amant will come in and try prove a point. He'll try put Luke away, but I think Luke will just be too much for him, and once Luke grips him and the physical game gets going, I think Luke will end up drowning. I think Luke's a really physical guy. I think he's also a youngster and he's still growing, so I think he'll settle well into welterweight. We were actually sitting and looking the other day, so he will be a really good welterweight. I mean, he's 183 tall, so that's the average size of middleweights around the world, so he'll fit well into that division. I mean, he's really big around the trunk and the leg area, so physically he's very strong. So it matches his style of grinding and putting guys on the cage and putting them on their backs, and his physical game with his jiu-jitsu is quite overwhelming for a lot of guys. And I think having trained with both Amant and Luke, I think Luke is a far superior athlete physically, and Amant's got a lot of skill, but he's got too much quit in it. Having moved on to lightweight, I think it was one of the best things he could have ever done for his life. He's in a good space, both mentally and physically. He's really come into his own, and he's comfortable with his process and his procedure. And I think having watched the countdown show last night, it was actually a really beautiful countdown show. Rich, one of the things Rich said is that Martin's skin now is like leather, and it's a pretty good, accurate assumption and testament to how Martin is. I mean, he's battle hardened, he's a veteran of EFC. I think he's the guy with the most fights in the organization, and he's a true champ. And I think having the belt is just a bonus for his career at the moment. I mean, his confidence has grown having the belt, but he's been on a good journey for the last 4 months. Touches guys in their sleep. I think that's the key. So Dave's a good athlete, he's a good guy, but I think he has too many telltales and he's got too many trigger points that Martin can work off. And I think with Dave's cuts, I just don't think that physically he can match up to Martin. I think Martin's going to be too long and awkward and rangy for him, and the problem with Dave is that if Chris Bright could knock him down, I think the power of Martin, just with one of those shots, has the potential to end the fight. I mean, Martin has knocked out and knocked down guys that were never dropped before in the EFC, and Dave has been basically rocked in every single fight he's fought in. I mean, Temba rocked him. If he hadn't, I think, actually Don rocked him too with that uppercut. Chris rocked him multiple times and dropped him. So I think he becomes more chinny every time he fights, and with his style trying to cover distance against Martin and Martin's power in both his hands, I think Martin can literally touch him and he'll go down.